Well, I just watched the Kanye West documentary, In Whose Name, and I'm going to say it is riveting, not just because I'm in it, but I'm in it. Wow. When the credits rolled, I felt differently than I expected I would. The young guy who produced and directed and spent all that time with Kanye is here with us today. It's Hot Mics with Billy Bush, presented by our friends at LA Golf. Hot Mics with Billy Bush. Great title. You know it. All right, we are rocking on TuneIn and YouTube. The 26 or 26-year-old filmmaker who embedded himself into Kanye West's life and world for 6 years, shot over 3,000 hours of footage, and just released the documentary In Whose Name in theaters is here. His name is Nico Ballesterros, and I've seen the documentary. Wow, it is a really interesting, nail-biting look and reminder of the roller coaster that we've all been on with Ye, but nobody more than Nico. The praise and calls of genius by all the celebrity vampires when he was, killing it, when rocking on every front. LeBron and Chris Rock are in this thing. Jay-Z and Diddy and Drake. His embrace, Kanye's embrace of Trump. Charlie Kirk appears in the documentary, as does Candace Owens, as I said, as do I. Behind the scenes of his emotional outbursts with family and employees alike, he has a meltdown with Chris and Kim. Michael Che confronts him backstage at SNL. This scene will really make you love Michael Che, frankly. Kanye's run for president. His courtship with Elon Musk, Genius Party, table for two. His meltdown on the campaign trail. Remember when I almost killed my daughter. I think that's the moment that Kim had to call it quits in the marriage. The White Lives Matter stunt in Paris at the fashion show with Candace Owens. Wow. I mean, Candace, she couldn't believe her luck that she was being offered a seat next to such a megawatt mainstream celebrity to pull off this stunt alongside of her. The seesaw effect of that, I mean, he goes down, she goes up. The loss of his billionaire status, his song in May, Heil Hitler, his apologies, his retractions. Well, the documentary left me feeling a sadness for Kanye and a bit of compassion, too. He is mentally ill. He suffers from bipolar and bounces between bursts of brilliant creativity and emotional collapse. But he's got his freedom, like Britney Spears, so all we can do is watch. Imagine how hard it is for his family. I mean, and speaking of family, you'll have great empathy for Kim Kardashian. You see, actually, what a good mother, wife, and person she is. And with that, we welcome the intrepid lensman who spent 6 years as a fly on Kanye's wall. Nico Ballesterros is here.
Thank you for having me.
Nico, you still must be exhausted after all that time with Kanye. I mean, you were filming 15-hour, 18-hour days for 6 years. What did it take to come down from that, I wonder?
Yeah, I mean, initially I had to move out of the country. I had to just really sit. And the only way for me to really make this was to relive the entire experience through the lens of, watching it back on the camera. I'm sorry, on the computer. So that was,
a lot of screen time.
Yeah. 15 hours a day watching this stuff back for 9 months straight to get through it all.
Oh my God. Is Kanye a producer on this? Is he?
No, I made it outside of his orbit and outside of culture for the most part. I made it in solidarity.
Wait, so you own the intellectual property?
Yeah.
So he doesn't profit share off this or anything. It's you. Why did he let you in?
Well, as a 15 and 16-year-old, I really found myself integrating with a lot of the subcultures that he was pulling from. There was such a unique time because of Instagram and the kind of democratization of celebrity with the creation of the influencer. And around the influencer, we had so many new roles and responsibilities that became career paths for young people like myself. Things like stylists and creative directors, and Virgil Abloh had a big part in kind of championing that Renaissance period in a lot of ways. And someone like Virgil, was like a talent scout, and he was right under Ye for all those years, and I found myself becoming a part of those core friend groups of his, and they also served as mentors and creative collaborators. So by the time that I was getting ready to graduate high school, I was already inside of his inner circle, and he had someone filming him prior, as he did even in the beginning of his career, like we saw with Genius. So at the time, there was someone named Tyler who was filming on a VHS camera, and I saw him, obviously in paparazzi moments, but also when I first really got to know who Kanye West was because of a screening that I went to where he live streamed a performance for The Life of Pablo and Yeezy Season 3 in 2016 from the Madison Square Garden, and they played this in AMC. So I ditched class with my friends and I went, and that was like my first time really understanding the gravity.
How old are you about this time when you get into his circle?
I'm texting with people who are working with him as a 16, 17-year-old class. But by the
You're
time,
a minor.
Yeah, but by the time I actually start to work with him alongside him, it was 6 months after graduating high school. So I was 18 at that time. And
yeah, forget college. I mean, like Charlie Kirk, you found your purpose, and it was filmmaking. Were you a filmmaker before this? Had you shot things, around school? And
yeah, my school was actually an art program. So it was conservatory based. So after standard curriculum, we had art classes, and the one that I picked up was film and TV. So I was taking documentary classes, TV production classes, cinematography classes. So I knew this is what I wanted to do. And the documentary format was the immediate call to action that I felt because of a class that I took, and also just the reality of the fact that as a 16, 17-year-old, I didn't want to go to higher education. And I knew at that time I hadn't lived enough life to really pull from my own experience to tell a narrative story. So I knew documentary filmmaking was a way for me to come of age and find a voice as a filmmaker. And initially I was on emails with people like Nolan Bushnell, who founded Atari, just kind of reaching out by going to networking events. In the same way that I was connecting with culture, I was also connecting with entrepreneurs at the time. And when I went to that Madison Square Garden live stream, I saw not just an artist, but someone who was a cultural figure, and the magneticism, the reality distortion field, and his ability to not just produce music, but produce other talents and cultural movements. And that zeitgeist is what fascinated me. And that's when I decided to connect with him and his people.
If you're watching on YouTube right now, we were just looking at some footage. Kanye goes back to his neighborhood in Chicago. What's interesting to me, and we are talking to Nico Ballesterros, who is the producer and director, the filmmaker behind the documentary in theaters now, In Whose Name, all about Kanye West. Was this the end game, to make a documentary like this and release it? And are you surprised that Kanye let you, and also that let you hang around for 6 years? I mean, if you watch this thing, he's got blow-ups with people, and he's screaming at them and throwing them out. He has emotional outbursts, and it's amazing that you, lasted that long.
Yeah, no, I completely understand where you're coming from. Yeah, it's definitely a revolving door, right? And I think I was probably one of the only ones who was always in quiet observation and witness. I mean, for the first 6 months of me doing this, I didn't really speak with him more than maybe one time. And
really, like, you just kept your mouth shut and filmed.
Yeah, and him and I even joked about that later, like in early 2022. Like, if I had really spoke initially, I probably wouldn't have lasted. So I think just that quiet stillness was comforting, and it was something that kept me around, and I got to really understand the psychology of him, people around him, and culture and society at a higher level. Very, prematurely. I was 18, 19, so my brain wasn't fully developed, self-admittedly, but I was picking up on things and not having to always think about what to say next or how to respond, and everyone always saying you should do this, you shouldn't do that. I didn't have to ever partake in those conversations. And I think that was one of the elements that allowed me just to keep riding the wave, for sure. Was that I also had a constant role and responsibility. Sometimes with creativity, there's so many kind of fringe responsibilities that are, trying to pull ideas out of the ether. Whereas I literally always had a camera in my hand, and it was very obvious what I was there to do. And I think that was even something that he would joke about too. Like, we know what Nico does. Like, he's holding that camera 15 hours a day, but what is it that some of these other people do?
Has Kanye seen your documentary?
Yeah, I showed it to him 3 times. I showed it to him 2 weeks ago, the final cut.
And what did he say? Any notes? And what if he did have notes? Would you have accepted them?
No notes. No, I mean, I told him that this is something that I'm going to maintain a final cut on. And yeah, I mean, it was very cathartic, very deep, very reflective.
What did he say to you?
I mean, initially he was just thanking me because he understood what a process this was. And I kind of showed him some behind the scenes, how I logged the footage, and he was most fascinated in the process. And we kind of connected over how so much of my editing was inspired by just observing how people around him, and including himself, made music and, you know, apparel. Just the creative process was something that I was able to positively extract and distill and implement with my creative team as well. So we kind of reflected on that a lot more than anything else, and just how, you know, at the end of the day, for the two of us, it was a lived and shared experience. You know, mine was definitely observational at best, but, you know, it was also understanding that this is the end of that journey too.
There's a powerful moment in the documentary where he went to visit, you know, Trump in the Oval Office at the White House 2018, and, you know, afterwards Kim basically comes to him and says, you're burning down everything around you. You've got to stop doing this. You're going to lose everything. And he goes, don't ever say I'm going to lose everything. Don't put that out into the universe, you know, and he yells at her. And, you know, we watch Kim throughout this, and we see actually her patience. I come out with it thinking, you know, she was a really good wife and mother and friend and supporter of Kanye for as long as she could. Have you heard anything from the Kardashian family? Any feedback? Have they seen it? Or the Jenners?
No feedback. Yeah, I mean, I've connected with certain people throughout, you know, my entire process of
Did you send them a link? I mean, have they watched? You sent me a link.
Yeah, I believe they've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I texted Kris Jenner, you know, right after I watched it an hour ago, and I said, "Wow, I think you guys." And by the way, we'll throw to it right now. There's, you saw maybe a little bit of a clip, but we're going to show you a little bit more. This is, you know, Kris Jenner with Corey Gamble, her boyfriend, standing next to her, and she's saying, "Look, we're all concerned about you, and they want to see him on his meds, and he is not having that." Take a listen to this.
I would rather be dead, not in jail, because I'd rather be dead than to be on medication. No one from the family has taken any responsibility for my hospital visit, but if we were to go on mine, that's 50% of what people say at least. Or maybe, am I lying?
It doesn't matter.
Am I lying? It do matter! It does matter! It does matter!
I mean, morally, you just said, you know.
I have to finish the sentence.
It does matter!
It matters to us and you. It doesn't matter what the internet says. It matters what we think. Yay.
So what do you think? Did you have an effect on my mental health?
Yes. I'm saying yes. And I love you. I love you. I don't want you to be not perfect. I love you. And I want my daughter to love you the way you want her to love you.
Okay, wow. I mean, that's a real outburst right there. I think about the volatility, you know, in Kanye, and it must have been hard for you with him all the time. Were you ever thinking, oh, please take your meds? Or were you, you know, like, no, that is his oasis of creativity. Like, this bipolar may be a mental health curse in some ways, but it's also responsible for his bursts of brilliance.
Yeah, I've always looked at the film, you know, as something like a mixture of A Beautiful Mind meets like There'll Be Blood. You know, and that's even something that him and I would speak about.
Wow.
When we did speak about the film, you know, those were the references, or even Aviator at times. So I knew the intensity and the balance of it. Yeah. And as a 17-year-old, before I started this, that's when he went to the hospital, and that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. So Tyler went, who was, again, the previous videographer, to work with Travis Scott, and he did the Look More Like a Fly documentary. So there was an opening, but with that opening also, I knew and understood because of that hospital visit that this was something much more complex than just documenting a cultural figure making shoes and music. So I had like 6 months of, a period of being within the unknown, because I didn't know if this was still going to be something that would come through, but also if it were to, which it did, I knew that mental health and the psychological depths would be something that I had to document. And even though I'm not a professional in those ways, the best thing that I felt like I could do as an observer is tell the story through my lens of coming of age. And I think sometimes that naivete as an 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old is what allowed for some of that access as well. So even in some of those really intense moments, I was so young that I knew that I had a role. And I think even some of those documentary classes, even though, again, I was so embedded with culture, I still had a rudimentary understanding of journalistic integrity and remaining objective and removed from some of those things.
Was there ever a time, Nico Ballesterros, the producer director of the Kanye doc, In Whose Name, which is in theaters now, he's with us. Was there a period like that you figured, oh man, I've got like 1,000 hours of footage, that's enough? What kept you going so long, 6 years? Did you have some kind of inner compass that told you, we're not there yet, we don't have conclusion, keep going? What was that like?
Yeah, I tried, throughout the years to put something together, and I started to realize that a lot of the creative endeavors that I once thought would be the main storyline didn't have some of the best through lines. And a part of that was also because, as we see, there were some of these really intense moments that were occurring, but the world didn't necessarily know about all of them. And when some of the controversies started to bubble more to the surface, that's when I started to feel relieved to explore some of these things, because the world was already aware and asking more questions. And some of the creativity and those other endeavors were taking more of a back seat to what was going on. So of course there were times where, I thought maybe the ending is him finding God, creating, the church. And then at other times I thought maybe the ending is the divorce leading into the Donda performances as kind of this climactic moment. And around that time, around Donda, I was 21, 22, and I started to feel like I was kind of nearing the end, just because of my age and my perspective and wanting to kind of put my mind and youth to other things. And, I started to kind of see certain corners differently. And, within like 6 to 8 months, that's when I filmed the ending. And that's when I definitely knew, when we were, in Dove Charney's office, like around that era, I had made it clear to him. I said, hey, pretty soon here, I'm going to dip out and no longer shoot. And I got to go finish the edit, because there was no way that I could make the edit occur while I was also documenting, because right. I was always pulling from memory. And honestly, I kept everything so secure and safe. I didn't have people going through the footage throughout the years. Everything was honestly very unorganized. I had 56 hard drives. I had 20 iPhones. Some iPhones still had footage that I had to dump. I would just buy new iPhones on credit cards. So I would just fill them up, and I didn't have time, because the clips would be sometimes 6-8 hours long, because I didn't stop recording, because every moment was so, intense. So I didn't want to miss anything.
Did he pay you at all? Did he ever give you money? I mean, he's so rich, and you're there all the time.
No, we self-funded through loans, and also when we were nearing the end, the distribution company put money in.
But you're on, private planes with him everywhere. I mean, you went all over the world with him. When you fly to Uganda, I mean, were you that was private, that plane, right?
Yeah, we went straight from the White House to Uganda. And then straight to Basel, Switzerland.
Afterwards to meet with those architects that he blasted at a conference room table. I remember that. Mm-hmm. He just, we're looking at some footage now. There he is with Elon Musk. That must have been cool to film Elon, because he is so quirky and weird, and the way he giggles and laughs, and they were friends. I mean, together, and both, in Elon's own way, the brilliance comes at some kind of a cost, and I think obviously that's where they bonded. But I didn't expect to feel so much compassion for Kanye, because he has said some terrible things. I mean, the anti-Semitism bout, and by the way, that's where I met you, or you filmed me when I, texted Kanye and he said, come down to my factory in downtown LA, and I went down and, I was asking him about these anti-Semitic comments. They had just blown up and he wanted to talk more about it. And
why didn't that air?
that's an interesting question. Let me show you this footage right here of me in Kanye's factory, and then like a Jewish employee, a Jewish man who works for Kanye comes into the frame. Take a look. Sometimes you're promoting a fashion line, sometimes it's an album, and now it's an idea. What's the idea?
The idea is free speech. But let me do what what racist white people always do. Let me show you one of my Jewish friends right here.
Are you a Jewish man, Dub?
Let me show you one of my black
Dub, are
friends.
you a Jewish man?
I am.
Come on in.
But I don't want to be in the... No, because if a person in a position of power has now been called racist, so let me show you all of my black friends right now.
Yeah, I sort of was like, he's a Jewish guy. What do you think of all this? And he's like, oh man, I don't want. And I think that was a lot of alarming. You asked me, why didn't that air? Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you why. At the time, I'm working for Warner Brothers. It's extra. It's the entertainment show, and it's a nationally syndicated broadcast television kind of thing. I felt, as I was sitting with him, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but when I left there, I felt like he was in the middle of a massive manic episode. He didn't smell right to me. He had been up for days kind of vibe, and nothing he said to me added to anything he had just said. He kept railing, but he didn't provide any real context or explanation for why, he felt that way, or any type of, perspective that I hadn't heard. And I thought, to me, this is, for me to go take it on that kind of a platform would be exploitive.
How do you feel it worked inside of the documentary?
Well, you have perspective. You have over 3,000 hours of footage. You have 6 years. You can tell the arc of the story. I have
context.
3 minutes.
Right.
I have 6 minutes
Right.
on national TV. Feels like a hit job to me.
Right.
What you did was tell this story, and you get to see perspective. I left again. If you would watch the interview, if I had put that on, and by the way, Warner Brothers was like, we can't put this on. They're scared of their shadow. But I actually agreed with them. It wasn't like something I was going to go fight with them on. But, you left me feeling compassion for him. We watched The Sopranos. We watched the great, with James Gandolfini.
Yeah.
He's Tony Soprano. He's a
Yeah.
terrible guy. He murders people. He does the worst things. And yet, we kind of feel for him. They make you, feel emotion for the anti-hero. With
it's
Kanye,
crazy.
I really got a feeling like, oh, he suffers too. And I don't know if that was important to you, but...
Yeah, empathy was hugely important. And it's interesting you mentioned The Sopranos, because I just watched the entire series for the first time as I was editing this picture for that very reason.
Really?
Yes.
Aha! Look at you. You and I, simpatico right here. We didn't plan that out, folks. No way. It's true, though.
Mm-hmm.
And that's... even with the horrible things that he said about, Jewish people and their motives, the anti-Semitic comments, Heil Hitler, he leaned in, he apologized, put out an apology, we're not going to do this anymore. And then he was like, you know what, fuck that. And he kept going. I don't know where he is on it now, but it seems to me a function of the disease. I don't know. Do you have any perspective on that? Do you feel like these are deeply held beliefs?
I believe it's a mental health situation. Absolutely.
Is he? Did you witness periods in the 6 years where he was on medication?
Yes.
And was he vastly different than when he was off?
Yes.
And did he seem happier? Did he seem less creative? What were the differences?
Yeah, I mean, a general sense of calmness. But I think, what I've...
But dulled? in some way?
Perhaps. I mean, I think that's what a lot of people say, right? When they're on medication, until they find the exact right dosage or iteration or mixture, you know, it's something that does mute your creativity. But I can't really speak on that too much.
I mean, but knowing him like you know him, being a fly on his wall for that long, I would say there are a few people that know him as well as you do.
Mm-hmm.
In there, what do you have hopes for him? Do you like in your
Yeah,
own
absolutely.
moments where you're like,
Yeah, I pray
Boy,
he finds healing, and you know, yeah, I have a lot of empathy.
can he come back? Is the thing. So I always wonder, can he come back?
How do you feel?
I think he has to. I think he has to lean into the disease and say, and he has to find a relationship with the disease that is palpable, that fits in the public domain. You know, if he says, "I'm taking medicine because I realize I've hurt a lot of people," I think we can forgive that because we have a lot more elasticity when it comes to mental health and people's struggles with it. But anything short of that, I think it will not be able to happen. So that's just my take. There's so many riveting scenes in this. Again, we're talking to Nico Ballesterros, an amazing 26-year-old kid who started this at 18. 6 years, over 3,000 hours of footage to make the documentary In Whose Name, all about Kanye West. And it's his. It's his. He's got partners and producers, of course, and distributors and everything. But a moment to compliment you on accomplishing so much at such a young age.
Thank you.
It's just...
Yeah, you know, when I started...
You were a really experienced guy at 26.
Thank you. Yeah, because at the time, even though I was invited to document it, you know, there were a lot of moments where, you know, there were talks like maybe Spike Jonze comes in and, you know, maybe even Werner Herzog was there and took meetings. But, you know, I'm very grateful that I stuck through it to the point where I was able to put it all together without it, you know, being taken out of my hands or something. Because as we know, that could obviously always happen with someone like Ye, who, you know, is filled with every... you know, as we see in the film, opportunity to do anything he wants with anyone he wants. Yeah,
and, you know, I mean, along the lines of you asking me, do I think he can come back? One indication would be, he did a deal, you did a deal with AMC, with Regal. These are mainstream movie chains. So that's a sign that these people are going to put that in their theaters. Will a streaming network pick it up from there?
Yeah, that's interesting, you know, and that's why the film right now is 1 hour and 40. My first cut was 6 hours, right? And that would have been something that would have been more episodic. But the reason why I shaved it down to something so digestible was for that theatrical experience. Because anything past 1 hour 40, 2 hours, even though the story is still riveting, it is difficult to sit there in one sitting. It is something that needs to be episodic. So, you know, people have been asking me for more. A lot of the fans are wondering where certain things are. And, you know, there is an opportunity to expand on it without a shadow of doubt. But it would have to be with the right partner for SVOD.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the things that are in there. Charlie Kirk is in there. There was a...
That's an example. I had actually originally a 10-minute scene with Charlie.
So can you tell me a little more about, because it was so brief, Charlie didn't even speak.
Right.
It was all Candace, you know, who was like, almost like pushing Kanye. You know, she was like, go, 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 you know, this is your moment. And Charlie doesn't say a word, but I imagine we all know Charlie Kirk is a very opinionated guy. So he obviously did.
Yeah. Well,
what did he say?
It's interesting because he was 24, I believe, at that time. And so it's kind of, in retrospect, wild to think he's younger than me even today in that footage. So it's interesting how even Kanye was around someone like him before he even became the next, you know, voice of the right, you know, political perspective. So, you know, at the time, I think they were pretty initial formulative kind of thoughts. It wasn't anything too bold. It was kind of just in support of what he and Candace were there to kind of do, which was, I believe, introduce Ye to some Republican perspectives. And, you know, I mean, they actually had a pretty good time, and I would like to expand more on that footage because I think it's something that the world would be interested to see.
Did Charlie challenge him on any of his views? Did Charlie? He's so outspoken, but maybe he's 31.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he was 24. It was a different version of Charlie. I think
maybe
it was
he was
the
learning
beginning.
more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Taking it in.
Yeah.
And what were your impressions of Charlie when he left? Like, oof.
Well, honestly, I mean, there were like 18 people a day that were in and out. So by the time the day was over, I've been thinking about someone else.
So many other scenes. In the beginning of the documentary, we meet all the people who were kind of up his ass a little bit, like, oh, Kanye's a genius. I want to be near Kanye and bask in his glow. Mostly people who, have dropped off as the roller coaster hit the top and started going down. But boy, I mean, you were in the presence of LeBron James and Chris Rock and Drake and Rihanna and Jay-Z and Diddy.
Those ones I actually licensed from someone who was filming him from 2006 to 2011, because I would have been 6 years old when that happened.
Oh, those are all. Yeah, I was going to say, wait a minute. That would have been tough.
Yeah, the prelude shot by someone.
Who were
named
some of the
Tobias
people
Feldman.
that you got to film? Were you there for the SNL moment? You were.
Yes. Yeah. Everything
that was a
from
big
Act 1 on, I filmed.
So if you remember when Kanye wore the MAGA hat and he was the musical guest on Saturday Night Live, Adam Driver was the host. And at the end, Kanye came out and he's like, yeah, we do talk about black people like Cosby and all that. We got to have a black comedian and a black actor do it. And he kind of, it didn't sit well with Michael Che, who's one of the co-hosts or the co-anchors of Weekend Update. And you captured an amazing moment backstage after that SNL where Michael Che was pissed off and came up to Kanye West and let him know it.
We treat everybody that come in like family, and you gonna sell us out? Like, that's fucked up, man. We look up to you, we love you. Why? What you got against us?
I mean, I do have some things against SNL.
That's cool, but I mean, airing it out like that without letting us be able to reply is kind of foul. You wait till the last song, and then say that foul shit to us, and we brought you in here for.
Let's talk about the way he likes.
But I'm not cool though.
I get it, but
yo, you're a hero to us, man. We love you. Like, seriously, we love you, man. It's like that's wrong to do to us, man.
We can start on. Yeah, let's just reconvene in a second. Yeah, no, right.
Can you not do that, please? Can you not record that? It would be helpful for us. Thank you.
Were you surprised that? I mean, I look at Michael Che right there. He's like, dude, what are you doing, man? I work here. Like,
Yeah.
you can't.
I was surprised
You
because
can't do that to me, dude.
it was such an anomaly for people to push back.
Right. Most people want to stay quiet. I
That was
didn't
one
know
of the
that
first
about
times.
Michael.
That was one of the first times that I think I saw someone really stand up and push back. And to me, what is so fascinating about that moment is the juxtaposition between the two comedians. We have Chris Rock with his perspective, and then we have Michael Che with his. And that literally happened within, moments.
What was Chris's perspective?
He was speaking about Sinead O'Connor and how when she ripped up the picture of the Pope, how everyone distanced themselves from her, but all the years later he said that she was right about that.
So he was supportive.
He was supportive.
Fully of Kanye. Don't know about now. I mean, maybe it went a little further, but maybe they still are. I'm not sure. But were you, in that moment with Michael Che, were you worried that Michael would be like, okay, hey, who's this kid but the camera? Shut that thing off. I'm having a moment with Kanye. Or did he not see you? You're just like the ultimate fly on the wall. You did a great job.
Ultimate, thank you. Yeah, no, if you look closely, he clocks me. He looks over at me. But I just knew to never stop recording unless it really became an issue, which it never did.
No one ever said, hey, turn that off to you?
If anyone did, Ye would step in and be like, no, keep the camera recording, or we're not, like, the meeting's gonna end.
When you were, in like when you flew to Paris with Kanye for the fashion show, and he and Candace were planning the, huge, shocking moment where they're in T-shirts that say, "White Lives Matter." Do you ever recall being like, "Oh God, this isn't going to go well"? Like, oh no, don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've always just maintained that objective point of view. I mean, knowing that it definitely took a shift in direction, going into it, I didn't think it would go to those kinds of points in the story, that's for sure. But by that point, I was, along for the documentation journey and knew that, there will obviously be a cause and effect to this, and just waiting to see how it develops further. But again, it was one of the things that I knew that I couldn't make sense of it while I was there, mainly because I was only getting 3-4 hours of sleep per night. So the best thing I could do is just make sure I don't drop the camera from sleep deprivation. So I knew that in order to understand this and put this story together, I got to connect the dots looking backwards, not forwards.
Since you were self-funding, where did you stay? Like, did you sleep on couches and things?
No.
Or
I would stay
hotels
wherever he stayed. Yeah.
You would just get a place. Here's some footage I found interesting. It must have been a hell of an experience for you. But when Kanye went to prison with all the incarcerated people, and they were just going wild for him. It's amazing. You how you got it. Were you nervous? Were you a little scared of all of that? And like, what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, growing up,
Yikes.
Prison was always like my greatest fear. So I remember going in and those doors after door closing behind me. I definitely felt claustrophobic.
You're like,
in there.
Can we get out?
Yeah.
You're just a kid.
It was a beautiful moment though, and I think it was very, very, beautiful that he did that.
Of all the scenes that are in this documentary, which ones, I'm sure there's some near and dear to you that you just like.
The contact, when he gets the contact put in the eye and he walks up the steps.
Yeah.
And
for the Marilyn Manson concert?
The Marilyn Manson moment, yeah. That's my favorite. Before that week, I was just watching The Wrestler by Darren Aronofsky repeatedly, thinking like I wanted to capture this moment like The Wrestler, and with Mickey Rourke. And, that was the moment that I was like channeling that, so to speak. So that, like, to me, and also it shows such blatantly like the arc, right? Like the transitional period.
Do you think he's more about is Kanye more about the shock or I wonder, sometimes I'm like, did he really like, I'm sure there's elements of Donald Trump he loves, just the F you attitude that he admires, but did you ever, it's like, was he more about rocking the boat, wearing the MAGA hat and, going to Trump Tower and going to the Oval Office and all the places he went?
Yeah, because the film's so observational and pure cinema verite, and I left it open-ended, it's like intended to be like a Rorschach test. So I'm gauging actually reactions, from audiences to even help understand my own thoughts around things like that.
When he announced he was running for president, and by the way, I was like, if Trump hadn't just become president, I would have said there's no chance in the world, but who knows in this country. But I think was that his announcement was when he melted down. I almost killed my daughter.
That was the first political rally. He announced it a little prior to that on July 4th on Twitter, and then that happened.
And when that was going, that was incredible. He starts crying and crying. I almost killed my daughter, meaning that it was his thought to have an abortion with his daughter North. And Kim said no way, and he credits Kim, for thank God. But boy, that was an extremely emotional time. Your recollections of that day?
I wasn't there actually for that day.
Oh.
I was still on the ranch. I didn't go to that.
So somebody filmed that for you? That
was a licensed clip from, like a news organization.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was a heavy day.
That was so heavy.
Yeah.
You were left alone in a room with Kim at one point. She had talked, he was laying on a couch, they were talking. It was an intimate moment between Kim and Kanye. And it seems to me you're the only other person that was in the room.
Yeah.
It's amazing that Kim didn't ask you to leave or anyone asked you to leave, but then he storms out on her and she's left. Okay. She puts her phone in a little clutch and zips it up and she's like, yeah, we're looking at it right there. That's the moment. And you're left alone with her. She almost like turns to you and says, to the camera, like, okay, wow. That was These are moments of intimacy. You must recall that like it was yesterday.
Yeah, definitely.
What are your thoughts on Kim? Do you have any thoughts? To me, she comes out.
I respect her. Yeah, I mean, she, in a lot of ways, actually has always been a great inspiration. Her team as well. They were always so kind and always gave me pointers because she had people, filming her for the shows and things like that. So it was always like a great mentor in a lot of ways.
I get the sense this is the love of her life. He was truly the love of her life, but she, for self-preservation, she couldn't.
What makes you feel that way from the film?
Because the way she looks at him and also the loyalty of how she, it seems to me she tried and tried and tried to get him to help himself in a way that, would allow their marriage to keep going. I think she would be married to him today.
Really?
She seemed like a loyal person. Am I wrong? You don't know
about the loyalty?
Yeah, I'm just that she, it was a bridge too far.
Oh.
I think when the abortion scene and seemed to be the straw that broke the camel's back, but she was pretty elastic in her love.
Yeah, I think the film definitely explores that elasticity. Wow.
So how do you feel now that this is Nico Ballesterros, by the way, is if you're just jumping in, is the producer and director, and he was ever since 18 years old, 18 to 24, I guess.
That was the main years of filming, yeah.
Main years of filming, 3,000 hours of footage with Kanye West all that time, and then 2 hours in the editing room.
2 years.
2 years in the editing room.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to pour through so much. How do you feel now that so much of your young adult life is in this?
I'm ready to go to the next thing. This is what I was looking for in the sense of having a, coming of age experience and learning about the world. I mean, I'm so grateful to have gotten this ticket to fly around and, experience life so close to the sun, flying so close to it. And, now I feel like I have that lived experience to offer more things to the world and pull from deeper, themes within my own experiences for a narrative film.
How do you describe Kanye to people? And say, wow, yeah, you spent all that time with him. What is he really like? People say to you all the time, right?
The whole film and my whole goal with everything has always been observing the human beneath the idol. So I look at him as a human, just how I look at anyone else. I don't try to label it beyond that.
Are you happy that he likes the film? He watched it 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, again, learning so much and pulling the positive things about how to get ideas out into the world in the creative process. Sitting with him and playing him the film back was, despite everything, was a beautiful moment because it was also like me showing like my thesis project to like a mentor, a creative mentor in so many ways. And I remember like the final cut, he just kept commenting on how tight and how crisp the editing was. And, those little things, again, despite everything else, was really nice to find like a creative through line that we connected on.
Yeah, what's brilliant about this is there's no voiceovers. There's no talking heads, sitting in a chair, with their eyes off camera going, well, the thing you got to understand about Kanye is, it's like a lot of documentaries. I mean, you had to take all this footage and just string it together and tell a story. That's the real accomplishment here. I mean, it's like...
That's true. We were taking sound bites and, kind of putting them all together because, yeah, it was extremely difficult to create a cohesive like story because everything at times was very tangential. But what I will say is what was interesting about Ye was whether it was a day or a week, there was usually like a thing that he was focused and fixated on. So it was almost like I was in the edit bay with like multiple takes, multiple conversations. And a lot of times he wore the same outfit throughout all the days and weeks. So I could almost kind of piece together a moment from 4 or 5 days, but make it seem like it was 1 minute.
Yeah.
But it was a challenging process though. I transcribed everything once I got down to the 100-hour mark. I transcribed everything, dialogue, action, printed it all out, had it all individually cut, put on bulletin boards. I was just walking through these boards, to really be able to put the story together on paper. And, it was a lot of meticulous work that went into that.
Well, it is In Whose Name, the Kanye West documentary is in theaters. You can go see it. Search that. When do we think it might be streaming?
Probably a couple months.
Is the deal in place?
We're looking at some deals now. Yeah.
We're looking at some deals. A few months, you'll get a chance to see it there, but you can see it in the theaters now. AMC, Regal, a lot of big places. Nico Ballesterros did it all from the ages of 18 to fucking 24. It's just incredible, man. Have you already picked your next project, by the way?
I got sent a script today, yeah, from a major studio, so I'm looking at one of those. But I'm also writing.
Some scripted. Okay, good.
Yeah, scripted.
Take a break, man, and have some people help you in that editing room. What a brilliant mind you have. Nico Ballesterros, we thank you very much. I was moved. I recommend it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Hot Mics with Billy Bush, presented by LA Golf. Take your swing to the next level with LA Golf's cutting-edge technology. You can get more out of your game with LA Golf's advanced ball technology. Another 10 to 12 yards on the drive. Specially designed shafts by the great Bryson DeChambeau and golf balls. Just be more accurate. Have more fun. Doesn't have to be such an agony playing golf. So, thank you very much. That's it for us. We will be back. It's Hot Mics. Make sure you listen Monday to Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. We do morning mics. We just break down the news together. Hop in the chat section. We'll see you there. Bye-bye.